Hey everyone, how are you today? It's Bryan Barron, Director of Skincare Research with Paula's Choice Skincare, and I'm here with you today to talk all about a brand new product that just launched today. It is our Pro-Collagen Multi-Peptide Booster. This is a replacement for our original peptide booster, which launched in the first half of 2018. And I'll explain why we upgraded the formula, or updated the formula, I should say. This is one of those products that I am I get excited about pretty much every new launch that we have, and I love going back to existing formulas as new research comes to light and talking with the team about how we can make a good product even better based on the latest information. I mean, skincare science is not static, it's always evolving. This is a very cool product that was originally inspired maybe about 18 months, 2 years ago, by a discussion that I had with Paula herself regarding different proteins in certain parts of skin, which I'll go into in the discussion, as well as new research on specific types of peptides, both the signaling type and a type called matrikine that are naturally, or matrikines, because there's more than one type, that are naturally present in the body and play various roles throughout the body that impact our health and allowing the body to run smoothly. Specific to skin, the matrikine peptides applied topically have quite a bit of data behind them from various suppliers and also third-party research showing that when properly stabilized, they can positively influence skin's supportive elements, leading to firmer-looking skin. So this is a product that I have been wanting to tell you guys about for a long time, because I've been using it for quite a while, various iterations of it, until we finally arrived at the finished product. And it's just, as a fan of the original peptide booster, when I saw what this did for my skin, I was hooked, and I didn't go back. So the original peptide booster is no longer available on our website. It is still available and will be, I think, for the next month or so on Amazon. However, I would really encourage you to try this one if you're about to restock. One of the things that we kept in mind, we always keep in mind your feedback on a given formula when we're seeking to update it and make any other changes. And one of the things that came through loud and clear about the original peptide booster was how much you guys liked the aesthetics of it, how silky it was. It was a very nice lightweight gel. It layered well with other products. It didn't pill. And so we really worked to keep the similar aesthetics to the formula so that you would have that same experience applying it and layering it. It is just much more tightly focused with a different group of peptides. So we're going to go into all of that. You're welcome to post your questions. I'll get to that as soon as I'm done with my talking points. This is debuting with the U.S. retail price of $58. It is a 0.67 ounce glass bottle, just like the exact same size as the original. I'm going to dispense some so you can see, put out a drop or so of it. And you don't need a lot. It spreads maybe about 3 or 4 drops for your face and neck. So a bottle this size would last you, if you're using it once or twice daily, anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 months, maybe 3 months, depending. I have a big face and I love this stuff, so I probably use more of it than is really necessary, and I do use it morning and night. It quickly became one of my favorite products for its line smoothing, for its overall texture improving results. I find that it really pairs well with any moisturizer that I apply with it. It's wonderful around the eyes. I even find it to be soothing to just shaved areas of my face and neck. So I'll put this on in the morning after I use the Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner or the new Calm, I think that one is called Nourishing Milky Toner, but I'd have to double check. We have a lot of products. So without further ado, let's do a little Peptide 101. So the simplest way to describe peptides is that they are composed of various combinations of amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. And peptides continue to become more specific in their role and what they can be created to do or influence on and within skin's uppermost layers. They're able to be more finely tuned, whether it's sending key signals or carrying information to cells so they can behave in a younger and oftentimes less damaging manner. They definitely belong to a group of ingredients that I call cell communicating ingredients. Retinol and niacinamide are also in that group. The difference is that peptides are much more highly targeted. So if retinol is a pair of jeans or a blazer that goes with anything, peptides are that specific pair of earrings or that specific fabric or design of scarf that you use to make your jeans and blazer basics outfit distinctively you. Let's see, what else did I need to mention about this? We talked about the original peptide booster launching in the first half of 2018. We wanted to take advantage of some of the newer peptides that we've been tracking, and there were a lot of them. You guys, we probably vetted close to 50 different peptides and peptide blends. We looked at all of the clinical data on them. We looked at the synergy between the two of them because there was really no point in including a bunch of peptides in a formula if they all essentially did the same thing and interacted with the same substances in skin. We really wanted this formula to be both highly targeted, but also highly targeted in different ways, all contributing toward making skin look younger, firmer, and yes, I'm just going to say it, more lifted. I'll explain why later. So this new formula reinforces and helps restructure the surface layers of skin with highly specialized peptides that are involved in the underlying fundamental organization and strength of what's called the dermal epidermal junction, or DEJ. And this junction is a network of several interacting structural proteins that strengthen the way the cells what's the best way to put it? It strengthens the way cells between the very skin layers cling to each other, and at the same time it controls major communication between those living cells in the dermis layer of skin and the differentiating cells that move toward the surface. So all told, it helps skin to remain intact. It keeps collagen and elastin stable. It helps hold a balanced amount of water in the skin and allow it to move freely. It triggers healthy cell production and movement and organization, but mostly it's about adhesion and cohesiveness throughout each layer. If you've ever seen a cross section of skin, from the subcutis or the subcutaneous layer, sometimes called the hypodermis because that's the layer of fat beneath the dermis. It's what gives skin a lot of its cushion and shock absorption. And if you're looking at that cross section as you go up, you've got the hypodermis, you've got the dermis, you've got what's called the basement membrane, which is part of the extracellular matrix of skin, and then you have the various layers of the epidermis, starting from the stratum basal and going all the way up to the stratum corneum, which is what you can see. That's what we wash, it's what we put sunscreen on, and so on and so forth. That isn't just put together like a club sandwich. There are interconnecting cells and adhesion molecules and proteins that are just part of this fantastic communication network that is in continual dialogue. It's like always having a therapist, on speed dial. Anytime you want to just get engage in that dialogue with your therapist, okay, how is everything going? Great, all right. Hey, I think this is what's going on and why you're feeling this way today. So here's what I'd like you to start doing instead so you feel better. That's kind of an example of the crosstalk that happens all the time in the skin. Think of the adhesion of these layers and their junctions like the way the layers of an onion adhere to each other. So a dermal-epidermal junction is similarly aligned when it's healthy and young. The right ingredients applied to skin can have a top-down effect by interacting with proteins in skin surface layers that in turn will send healthy messages to the skin's lower layers. Another analogy is to think of the support the way that blinds are attached to both a rod as well as attached in perfect alignment with the slats and the strings that control the blinds. So when the rod and the strings break, what happens to the slats? Just like layers of skin, they become loose and stop working as they should. They become detached. So with age and sun damage, skin loses the ability to properly lay the very materials it needs to maintain cohesiveness, and that results and part of this too is because of the degradation of collagen and elastin, but it results in what we see as cross-hatched wrinkles, sagging due to loss of tensile strength that comes from the elastin, and then the very signaling system. Remember, I referred to this as a communication network. That very signaling system, which has its epicenter at the dermal-epidermal junction, becomes faulty. What happens when it becomes faulty is that certain key messages aren't being communicated to cells. And so the cells, either because they're not getting all the information they need to behave properly, they either don't do as much as they should, or they do the wrong thing. And then the crosstalk that would come from the top down also starts becoming muddled. So it kind of becomes like that game of telephone that kids play where they sit in a circle and one person starts a message, and by the time it gets to the last person in the circle, the message bears almost no resemblance to what was originally said. It's a communication breakdown. The peptides, there's a large group of peptides that can have this capability. So I don't want to impress upon you that our peptides are the only ones that can do this. But I think the ones we've chosen are pretty damn good at impacting in one way or another everything that I've been talking about. So the key benefits to keep in mind for this new booster is it provides near instant, within 15-minute line smoothing. And I'm going to talk about which ingredient does that and how it works. It visibly firms and helps tighten skin, so it's great for first signs of sagging. If you have more pronounced, obvious sagging due to bone loss, due to the effects of gravity, this is just something that happens to all of us as we age. No, this is not going to lift everything back up. This is absolutely not a facelift in a bottle. Don't cancel that appointment. But when you start seeing that first sign of sagging, that is an area you have this window of opportunity where skincare can help. Eventually, depending on how you feel about the way your skin is changing, because you don't have to do any of this, but eventually, if the sagging starts to bother you more, you will need to consult a dermatologist for either a non-invasive or a potential surgical procedure to address that issue. It also supports skin's underlying architecture, which is going to lead to improved resilience, and it helps restore suppleness and pliancy to skin both of those can decrease as we get older and accumulate more environmental damage. So as of now, I'm not aware of any competing product whose blend of peptides is not only used at clinically efficacious levels, but is also combined with the key supporting ingredients that help revive what I refer to as healthy cellular energy and help influence key collagens and other proteins like laminin and lumican in skin. Plus, this product also has a nice positive influence on our skin's natural content of hyaluronic acid. So all told, you're getting something that helps to strengthen, rebuild, and preserve skin's vital dermal-epidermal junction. Now, some products contain more peptides in terms of sheer ingredient count, but unless they cost a lot of money, like well over $150, they're likely not using the levels recommended by the suppliers, especially if the price point is at or around $40. Then that is simply because most peptides tend to be expensive. There, of course, can be exceptions. Not throwing any particular brand under the bus. I don't have a window into what their formulas cost versus what ours cost, but just to give you some perspective. The bottom line is that this Pro-Collagen Multi-Peptide Booster, which debuts in its lovely fuchsia color, is our first and only product that precisely targets key areas and proteins in skin's DEJ, taking a top-down signaling approach to restore and maintain skin's very structural support. That is how it helps revive that firmer look and feel, and helps keep your skin in a more resilient state for a longer period of time. And it also has an impact, again, we're going to go into the ingredients in just a second, the specific ones on the formation and appearance of expression lines, which is really cool. So here we go. The 6 peptides, all used at levels recommended by their suppliers based on clinical studies. Number 1, SH polypeptide 121. This is a synthetic bioidentical form of human collagen that signals fibroblasts, which are deeper in the skin, to create better collagen thanks to their 2 amino acids that are in this product. This peptide are glycine and proline. And what's important about that is that they're present in the ratio needed for skin to make collagen in what is its classic triple helix shape. That is a key element for firmer skin. There are a lot of ingredients that can stimulate and to some extent repair collagen in the skin, but if they're not also telling it what shape to make the collagen so that it lays properly, you could be making not so great quality collagen and not even know it. But from a histologic standpoint, when looked at under a microscope, okay, some new collagen was made. That's great. This particular peptide has clinical data on file that it helps to boost elasticity by over 100% in 4 weeks. This benefit, this is from newer clinical data that the supplier did, this benefit is improved even further when you use this peptide with vitamin C. Now they tested ascorbic acid, such as what's in our C15 Super Booster, or retinol, and they tested regular retinol, not any of the retinoid esters, which are the newer generation retinoids. It may well have that same effect, just like it may well have that same effect with the vitamin C esters that are more stable forms of ascorbic acid, but I'm just telling you what data is available right now. And that boost in elasticity happened within 4 weeks of twice daily usage. Next up is palmitoyl tetrapeptide-72-amide. This is considered kind of an architectural peptide because it works on the 4 collagen families, including key connecting and anchoring collagens in the dermal epidermal junction. One of those is collagen 6, collagen 6's main role in the skin is the assembly and organization of other collagen. So it's considered a minor collagen, but as you can imagine, it has a pivotal role. So this peptide helps ensure proper alignment and distribution of key substances in skin for stronger skin, more resilient skin, and just a better foundation of support. Most of the peptides in skincare, they tend to target collagens 1 and or 3. And not a surprise, those are the primary collagens in skin. This one covers 1 and 3 and all of those minor, what are called fibrillar collagens, as well as what's called network or sheet-forming collagens, and collagen-like membrane proteins that literally comprise the backbone or the shape of these specialized adhesion cells that they're interconnected. They keep those cells all together. Next one is the Syn-TC blend. That includes palmitoyl tripeptide 5, palmitoyl dipeptide 5, diamino-butyroyl hydroxythreonine, and then this, there's one more peptide in there that is a very, very long name, and it has urea, I'm losing it. That's not rolling off the tongue, but this is a synthetic, well-established peptide complex that offers support for all relevant collagen types, including 1, 3, 4, 7, and 17. Did you know there were that many collagens? And all of those collagens, with collagen 1 and 3 being the big ones, are essential for a properly anchored and robust dermal epidermal junction. When that dermal epidermal junction starts to become looser and more fragmented. It's very much like when you anchor a boat to a dock and then you kind of give the anchor a bit more slip, a bit more rope, and what happens? As the boat drifts further away from the dock, it becomes more vulnerable to everything else around it, including the weather. It's no longer moored properly. So that's another good analogy to keep in mind. This peptide blend improves collagen quality, very important, and functionality so that skin appears plumper, firmer, and elasticity is also improved in only 28 days. So there's definitely a common thread of elasticity improvement throughout these peptides, but as you've been learning, they also influence key specific collagens and various proteins or protein networks within the skin, which is very exciting. So the palmitoyl tripeptide 5 primarily impacts collagen 3. Oh, there's that name. The tetradecyl aminobutyl butyric urea triacetate. Maybe 24 syllables there, impacts collagen 1 primarily, and then the palmitoyl dipeptide 5 diaminobutyryl hydroxythreonine is the one that impacts collagens 4, 7, and 17. We talked about collagens 1 and 3. Collagen 4 was considered a non-fibrous scaffolding collagen whose flexible kind of open network forms the architectural framework of skin's basement membrane. That is the thin layer that separates the dermis from the epidermis. A lot of crosstalk occurs here that collagen 4 plays a role in. Collagen 7 is an anchoring collagen responsible for dermal epidermal adhesion, and this very important collagen, it's incredible the role it plays in literally helping to hold skin together, yet it makes up only 0.001% of the collagens in the body. And last but not least, collagen 17 is that both the signaling and a connecting collagen that resides primarily in the basement, maybe even exclusively in the basement membrane. I'd have to double check. But that one plays a critical role in epidermal differentiation. So helping control the orderly process of skin cells as they migrate from the living lower layer of skin and differentiate or change shape and function as they get closer and closer to the surface and eventually become flat and die. That's what we see on the outside. So the connection aspect is due to it literally connecting the living cells to skin's basal layer. Next up, this was kind of a last minute addition, but it was just too good to not use in this product, and the results are just incredibly impressive. This is our line smoother. It's called Tridecapeptide 1. We are using this at the max level. It is an encapsulated polypeptide that is composed of 13 different amino acids. Peptides can have any number of amino acids depending on their desired shape and their desired action on skin. All of these polypeptides have a high affinity for binding with acetylcholine receptors, which help control skin wrinkling via the inhibition of muscle contraction. This is different in its action from what's acetylpeptide 8, which is trade name is argyroline. That inhibits the release of acetylcholine to eliminate any potential muscle contraction. This peptide, the tridecapeptide 1, by preventing the binding of acetylcholine to its receptor, it blocks what's called the action potential, and that is what helps keep the muscle in a relaxed state for a longer period of time. And it doesn't get in the way of what acetylcholine naturally does in the skin. So we really liked it for that. You can see results on line smoothing in as little as 15 minutes. And the results can last for about 4 hours. So it's temporary, but with ongoing use, their data show that after 4 weeks of daily use, skin smoothness is notably improved, and the wrinkle volume, or if you prefer wrinkle depth, is also measurably decreased. That is with twice a day usage. Fine lines and associated roughness were significantly reduced. So long-term use of this product definitely helps keep fine and expression lines at bay and increase the smoothness of the skin. If you're not seeing wrinkles around my eyes, or anything too significant right here. That's where I've noticed the biggest difference using this booster. It doesn't replace Botox. However, I've noticed since I've started using the final version of this formula, I don't feel the need to go back and get more Botox. Not right now, and it's probably been about 8 or 9 months of consistent use. I had my husband try this. We did an A/B test on, because he has more pronounced crow's feet than I do. You know, character lines. So I had him put this on one side, and then we did nothing on the other side, except for his usual moisturizer. I took a photo in the exact same position, the exact same lighting, and the results were pretty startling. In fact, when I went back to the Seattle office, I kept showing people, like, look what this product can do. And I think that was after about 10 minutes. The other thing that's exciting about this peptide is that the efficacy of it can be further enhanced when it is combined with pentylene glycol. What a surprise. That is one of the main ingredients in Pro-Collagen Multi-Peptide Booster. It is a humectant that aids with ingredient penetration. I don't know why they didn't mention butylene glycol or propylene glycol or glycerin, because I suspect those may have the same ability, but I'd have to go back and ask if they studied that, but they definitely recommended pentylene glycol, and that's the glycol that we like using. Okay. Almost to the halfway point, I wanted to mention a few of the key supporting ingredients, one being Polygonum bisorta extract. This ingredient helps support key basement membrane proteins, which are known as proteoglycans, that work with the collagen 17. Remember I mentioned that collagen 17, that basement membrane is its primary hangout, to help repair and maintain skin's tensile strength, and also help to revive some amount of healthy circulation, which slows down with age. This plant extract, which just has so much cool data behind it. It influences key integrins responsible for anchoring skin, as well as perlecan and dystroglycan, which are key proteins found in skin's basement membrane. Dystroglycan is a receptor protein that's involved in cellular adhesion, and then both proteins, this is interesting, I did not know this, both of these proteins show a rather precipitous drop-off starting as young as age 27. But wait, you're sitting there like, well, wait, what are integrins? So the best way to describe integrins is they are mechanical proteins that are responsible for mediating cell signaling of cadherins. I know, what are cadherins? Cadherins are organizational adhesive proteins that exist between skin cells. But integrins can also send their own signals, which help balance the proliferation of skin cells, as well as their migration and adhesion. So you can think of integrins, and integrins are traffic controllers. And by and large, it's a very simplistic way to think about how they work within skin. And then the cadherins are the cars that hear the message that the traffic controller is shouting to them, and they go to their right place and form the right action in between these cells that would otherwise just kind of be floating all over the place. And as you can imagine, if that was going on physiologically, skin would kind of become an amorphous blob. It would, it wouldn't go back into place. If it got injured, it would probably have impaired healing. It would likely be much more susceptible to environmental damage, and so on and so forth. Another good supporting ingredient that we are really keen on is called glycerol glucoside. It doesn't sound that exciting, but this is obtained from biofermentation of a resurrection plant that is known as Myrothamnus flabifolia, and it helps to visibly improve dermal elasticity. It helps support hyaluronic acid production. It also boosts an enzymatic antioxidant in skin surface layers known as superoxide dismutase. They have data showing that it increases that by about 280% within weeks, and it also helps improve the overall density of skin by almost 10% at 4 weeks. Oh my goodness. We also chose this ingredient to improve the hydration qualities of this booster because glycerol glucoside has excellent water binding properties that are on par with high molecular weight hyaluronic acid. And it also supports, I know it's kind of like this is one of those ingredients where you're like, but wait, there's more. It also supports what's called adenosine triphosphate in skin's surface layers, also known as ATP. And ATP is a cell energizer whose production, like so many other things, slows with age. And then this leads to a slowdown and eventual breakdown of critical metabolic processes that help keep skin healthy. Glycerol glucoside also has anti-redness properties, so it can be an excellent ingredient for somebody who is struggling with signs or sensations of sensitive skin. And just in case that's one of the questions that's queuing up, yes, this booster is appropriate for sensitive or reactive skin. It is even suitable for rosacea-prone skin. But who else? Who is this product specifically formulated for? Who is it best for? We really formulated the Pro-Collagen Multi-Peptide Booster, just like the original, to be for all skin types, all ages, and all ethnicities. And there's no contraindications involved combining use of this with any other anti-aging themed topical product or ingredient, whether it is over-the-counter or prescription strength. But the overall customer we had in mind when formulating this booster was someone who's seeing first signs of sagging and loss of that youthful firmness and resilience, skin slowly losing its ability to bounce back. But it's also excellent for anyone struggling with stubborn expression lines, including crow's feet and forehead lines that one would normally treat with Botox. But again, just to be very clear, this isn't Botox in a bottle. But clinical studies indicate that the line smoothing action of that tridecapeptide 1 complements what Botox does. And just like I have, you may find that using this can postpone or extend the amount of time that you need to wait between having Botox injections. Or it may, if you've never had Botox before but are thinking about it, and you try a product like this and are happy with the results, you may want to wait a little longer before you go in and talk to a doctor about Botox. It's also very good at reversing signs of dehydration and helping to preserve the optimal moisture balance thanks to that glycerol glucoside, as well as the yeast extract, the bacillus ferment. That's the specific strain that we're using in this product has an influential effect on what's called aquaporins, or those calcium channels in skin that help create a balanced amount and a proper flow of water. Again, there's so much of this product is about helping skin do what it used to do without us even thinking about it, but then you get that natural decline just from getting older, and then to some extent that is also triggered by accumulated environmental damage. Lastly, there is also polyglucuronic acid, which is a humectant which helps optimize hyaluronic acid renewal, but just significant hydration from that blend alone. So super excited about that. If you're using the water infusing electrolyte moisturizer, I think you're going to love that duo. It's colder here now and drier in Michigan, so I've been pairing it at night with the Omega Plus Complex Moisturizer. Other product pairing recommendations for this booster, always going to depend on your skin type, your concerns, and to a lesser extent, age and gender. So for example, a woman experiencing menopause may want to pair this booster with our phytoestrogen elasticity renewal serum. I think there would be some incredible synergy there. But generally speaking, and casting the widest possible net, I'd suggest these 3 core products for a multi-layered, comprehensive, reparative, and preventive approach for what I like to think of as well aging, which is aging in the best possible way, looking as good as you feel for as long as you can, and not obsessing about every little wrinkle or droop, and just knowing that that you are doing the best with skincare that you possibly can. And at some point, if you want to explore options outside of the skincare, those are available to you. And it's, again, as I've said this many times, it's never one or the other. It's that commingling of both that can really help you age and age well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. So, along with this booster, I would suggest using the clinical 0.3% retinol, 2% bakuchiol treatment, as well as the Resist Advanced Smoothing Treatment with 10% AHA. Particularly if you are new to Paula's Choice, your concerns revolve around multiple signs of aging, particularly fine lines, wrinkles, stubborn expression lines, loss of firmness. Again, you're seeing those first signs of sagging, rough texture, dullness. I think that trio right there could be very powerful, and it's again casting a wide net there because that would work well for so many people. All of the peptides in this booster are synthetic, or as I like to call them, lab engineered. Despite this, they're also considered ingredients that skin can recognize and know how to utilize, since amino acids, which are the building blocks of peptides, are also the building blocks of the primary protein, keratin, that comprises our skin. Not to mention collagen and elastin are also types of protein. It is a vegan formula. It is oil-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, and as like all Paula's Choice products, it's also cruelty-free. It is not, however, silicone-free, since the formula contains dimethicone. As I mentioned at the top of the hour, our goal was to mimic the aesthetics of the original peptide booster as closely as possible. If anything, improve on them a little further, which I'm confident that we did. But dimethicone was a key ingredient in that, and we didn't want to lose it. So if you are silicone averse, for whatever reason, I'm sorry, this booster isn't for you. But if you are, dimethicone is an incredibly safe, inert ingredient that has a long history of use. It's even FDA monographed for key products as a skin protectant. So I would urge you, if you're on the fence, to give this a go and see what you think. All right, let's see what questions y'all have here. I just feel like it's just like, oh, talk. Okay, I know somebody is going to ask about when this is going to be available in Europe, and I don't have a firm date just yet. I generally tell you 4 to 6 weeks from the US launch, but it may potentially be longer than that. Alex Totev, hi, do I remove my sunscreen if I apply pure silica powder over it? I wait at least 15 minutes before applying it. I don't know if it matters, but my SPF is marketed as water and sweat resistant. So water and sweat are composed of different compounds than silica. So those designations, while definitely helpful for when you'll be swimming or sweating, it's not across the board to any other substance you may put on over a sunscreen. Our general advice is to never put something on top of a sunscreen, particularly something that you have to really rub in to skin. If there is a way, and I'm not saying this won't compromise your sun protection, it very well might, you can't know for sure. So one more reason to slather that sunscreen on liberally. But if you are doing this, for example, to mattify your skin, and you're taking the silica-based product and you're lightly dabbing and pressing, not rubbing, don't do this. We're talking about gently dabbing and pressing it over the sunscreen. My theory, meaning I don't have facts to back this up yet, but is that you could do something like that and get minimal disruption of the SPF. But I would not go on record saying, you're going to maintain that SPF 30 by putting silica on top. We don't know. You'd have to endure that SPF testing. Katie says, I can't wait to try this booster. TikTok makes it seem like tretinoin is the way to get your tretinoin is the way to get your best skin. Can you achieve similar results with retinol? Can't use tretinoin at all, and I'm surprised people can. Is it just so irritating? I mean, Katie, it's not irritating for everyone, and there's different variations of it. Sometimes it's the base that it's in. Sometimes if it's not encapsulated or in some sort of a slow release delivery system, that can make a difference. However, to your other question about whether you can get the same results with retinol, you can. It ultimately just takes longer. So the truth is, using tretinoin will get you more noticeable results in a lesser period of time, but with a greater risk of unwanted adverse side effects, you know, the burning, the peeling, the flaking, the sensitive skin to the touch, and that may impact how often you use tretinoin, which in turn is going to impact how quickly you see the results. So I'm in the same boat. I've tried tretinoin several times over the years, different strengths, including the very, very lowest strength, and it's almost like clockwork how quickly and sometimes severely my skin has reacted to it. In contrast, I can use lower levels of retinol, like the 0.3% in the retinol bakuchiol product, as well as retinoids, the derivatives. For example, I've tried the Grand Active retinoid that The Ordinary offers, and that is a newer generation retinoid, and I did not have any adverse reaction to that. So it just depends. But the bottom line is retinol use or retinol ester use, like a retinol retinoid or retinol propionate, it's more about slow and steady wins the race, whereas tretinoin is a bit more like a sprint. And in that sprint, when you run really fast, you're more likely to trip and fall versus if you're walking at a brisk pace, if that makes any sense. Okay, Claudia, will the body phytomoisturizer help with wrinkles on knees? Quite possibly, yes. Particularly if you've noticed that the wrinkling around the knees has worsened since you have been in menopause, or if you are postmenopausal, because that estrogen decline is more precipitous in the first 5 years, but it continues to go down even a little bit, even in the postmenopausal years. So I think it could absolutely help. It's absolutely worth a try. And you know, we offer a 60-day money-back guarantee on all of our products. Generally, what the data shows is that the best results were obtained anywhere from 12 to 24 weeks of consistent use of topical phytoestrogens. 8 weeks would be 60 days or 2 months. So you would, for optimal results, you'd be outside of our return window. But I think within 2 months, you're likely going to be using up the product and at least start seeing the beginning of positive results that you can be confident should get even better with a couple more months of use. And then you could decide to use the product less often, for example, to maintain those results. Okay, Julia, do you think there's anything to the idea that since peptides are hard for the skin to absorb, they should be applied first? Do acids render peptides less effective? I've not seen there's potential. Most peptides, the manufacturers recommend that the pH range be between about 3 and 6, sometimes 6.5, but that's pretty standard. Remember too that skin is naturally acidic. The average pH of facial skin hovers around 4.5. Skin has something that's called an acid mantle, which plays a big role in helping to protect past the surface from infectious microbes and other pathogens that are neutralized in that acidic environment. Whereas if you push skin to be too alkaline too much of the time, you're leaving your skin more vulnerable to things that can harm it. Okay. Your other question was, peptides are hard for the skin to... No. Peptides are typically made to be lipophilic. They typically have a lipophilic portion, often from palmitic acid, a fatty acid derived from palm. That's why so many peptides start with palmitoyl. That is one way, and probably one of the earlier ways that chemists were able to take these fragments or blends of amino acids that we know of as peptides and stabilize them so that they can either reach their target area within skin or get far enough into skin's uppermost layers that they can set up shop and signal to what's beneath. So I don't think it makes any difference If you put, like there, I would not agree. I've not seen any data or evidence that it is a must to apply peptides on clean, bare skin. Wait several minutes before you put anything else on. The other thing in terms of using more acidic products like an AHA or BHA exfoliant is that while those ingredients need to be in that pH range for their exfoliating action, when you put them on skin, your skin's pH doesn't drop to that level. It pretty much stays in the acidic range. It's more about what pH these ingredients work best at when they contact your skin. And they can go to work, again, this is an acidic environment, remember? They can go to work without taking the pH of your skin lower. So ultimately, because of those physiologic facts, that is what I'm basing my advice on, that there isn't reason for concern. Jessica, I am pale and have very ruddy cheeks and use a medium to full coverage foundation. Should I still use blush up high on my cheeks to have a better look? And when should I choose matte blush and when should I choose shimmery blush, which is blush and highlighter in one? First of all, I'm not a fan of blush and highlighter in one. And the reason for that is I'm not opposed if you want to use a shimmery blush, because there are some gorgeous shimmery blushes out there that are a far cry from the glitter-infused blushes of the 80s and 90s where, you know, your skin hits the light the right way and it's like sparkle, 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 sparkle. This is more about a finely milled shimmer that really gives that healthy glow to the skin and also helps heighten the pigments in the blush, which I think can be a very beautiful look. But because a true blush color, something that is anywhere from a pale pink all the way to a rich plum or a rich burgundy color, which can be stunning on very dark skin tones, blush is meant to add color to the cheeks and some vibrancy to the face. And highlighter is meant to highlight the high planes and key areas of the face. So like traditional areas to highlight would be the tops of the cheekbones, under the eyebrows arch, right in between the brows and slightly up on the forehead, sometimes down the bridge of the nose and in the center of the chin. If you did that with a highlighting blush that's got that pink, red, coral, plummy pigment in there, it can make your face look either too colorful, bruised, or even potentially muddy looking, which isn't the goal. So when I would do makeup on somebody, like for example, bridal makeup, I always use highlighter on brides, and I do blush and I do contour. And those are 3 separate products that go in 3 separate areas of the face, but they're all lightly, you know, it's that art of blending and placement that allows all 3 to work together rather than making your face look paint by numbers, which that's what I worry about when people use blush as highlighter, is that they're going to have odd splashes of color where color shouldn't be. Okay, Maggie Mad is definitely wanting something for this sagging. Keep your expectations realistic, Maggie. I'm hoping you'll see some good results from this. If you are of menopausal age, the phytoestrogen elasticity renewal serum with this, I can't wait for people to start reviewing that combo and show us the pictures that they got. Lulu, collagen, I guess it's not vegan. It is a synthetic. The SH polypeptide 121 is bioidentical to human collagen. It has the same molecular structure, but it is synthetic. It is 100% not animal derived. So it does count as vegan. Lubriderm and CeraVe is all you need on your hair for it to grow back. Oh. Dry hair falls out, moisturized hair doesn't. That is absolutely not true. That's a topic for another show, though. Is this a dry hair may be more prone to breakage when you're combing it or otherwise handling it roughly, but how moisturized your hair is has nothing to do with hair loss other than the breakage part. Is this booster coming to the EU too? I talked about that. Rebecca, hi, will PC ever add an option for a pump instead of a dropper for the boosters? Please. We have tried. This is we should do a packaging show where I bring my coworker Daniel on, who is just an incredible source of information on all types of cosmetic packaging. Not to mention a very nice guy. And we've looked at some of the boosters and components with a pump. What happens, because so many of them are very fluid, is that when you start pumping it out, you may get one smooth flow pump, and then your second pump is a spurt, which is messy. It pisses people off because the product goes everywhere. What happens is in the dip tube of the pump, if the viscosity of the product isn't just right for the pump, and this can be very tricky to achieve, instead of getting an even amount of the product that's constantly in that dip tube and ready to dispense, some of it comes out and then you have a hole where what was there has been dispensed, and then you have space, and then there's more product further down the dip tube. And ideally, when you depress again, that should suck enough up from the bottom that what is down lower in the dip tube gets forced up and then out. But sometimes, depending on the force that you use to pump the product, which varies. Some people use a gentle touch. Some people, that's out of our control. You end up creating a messier product. Whereas with this, you can squeeze the rubber top, pull some up into the dip tube so you can actually see it, and then you dispense your few drops. This is my personal bottle, so I'm not going to keep using it on my hand because I want to use it on my face. And it's just, overall, we find it easier. So I appreciate the comment and the suggestion. For now, we're sticking with this style, but I can assure you that our packaging team, led by Daniel, is always evaluating new options out there when it comes to pumps. I completely understand why a lot of consumers prefer them. I just wish that for these types of booster products, for the viscosities and the textures that we have, which makes them so layerable and so suitable for all skin types, they're just not the most conducive to being in a pump right now. Okay, Gigi Chibo, love you, Bryan, and love it when you nerd out on ingredients. It's my pleasure to nerd out on ingredients. It's what I do. I sometimes when I'm at social gatherings and I don't know people, you're having that small talk, and inevitably the question comes up about what do you do for a living? And I say I work for a skincare company, and then I've come to find out that that's not enough information, because think of all the things one could do for a skincare company. So I started saying I research and write about ingredients for a skincare company as well as skin itself. And then that almost always, I rarely get a, oh, and who are you? They always have follow-up questions in that regard. So if I'm in the mood to talk more about this in that setting, I like engaging. And people often have very sincere questions about it, and they almost always want some advice on how to take better care of their skin, which I'm happy to provide. But if the conversation becomes a bit too, like if it's a situation where I want to mingle more and talk to other people, I try to be cognizant of not letting one person take up too much of my time, there have been situations where I've said, let me give you my email address, or here's my business card, you can contact me, and we'll have some follow-up dialogue, and depending on the nature of the conversation, I might say, oh, and I'll send you some product. Okay, last question from Andrea. I'm looking forward to trying the new reformulation of the peptide booster. It sounds like some interesting changes. I would, yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. What a surprise after what I've been squawking about for the last hour. This is a much more tightly focused product than the peptide booster. And I think if you've tried and you love the peptide booster, I think you are going to love this even more. just like me, I think once you try this, you're not going to be sad that the peptide booster is gone, because and aesthetically, it's practically apples to apples. Again, I think we've nudged the aesthetics with this new formula in an even more positive direction. So let me know. I will be back in a couple of weeks for a different live chat. And if any of you have ordered this in the interim and tried it, I'm really curious to know what you think about it, what results you're seeing. I have not had any issues layering this with other products in my routine, including around the eyes. And I've been using it twice daily, and it's just, I love it. I mean, honestly, and I am thrilled to have had played a role in its formulation. I love that it was inspired by a conversation that I had with Paula and some research that she brought to my attention. Let me just close by saying that I think this is one of the most innovative products that we've done in terms of what it's capable of doing for your skin, and how perfectly it works with other products that you may also or already have in your routine to help reduce various signs of aging. So on that note, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care.